Whew. All right, hey guys. I hope everyone is doing well. This is Rudy. Hey, I'd like to tell you a joke, and this is a joke, right? It's not to be taken seriously, and it was told to me by a friend of mine, and I don't have that many friends, so you could probably guess who told me. But and again, it's a joke, so don't be calling the FBI or anything like that. But my friend said, I have a bomb, and I keep it stored away, and I can get to it anytime I want to, and you know, I have access to it, and it's very, very powerful. And I said, wow, really? I'm surprised to hear that. You know, I had no idea. You know, and after being taken aback a little bit, you know, my friend said, well, would you like to know more about it? And I said, well, sure, you know, tell me all about it. He says, well, I keep it parked at the truck stop, and anytime I want it, I just walk up to the driver, and I hold my gun, and I say, get out of my truck. So that was the joke that my friend told me, and it was obviously one of those gasoline trucks. And I guess if you want a big old bomb, just go hijack yourself a gasoline truck. Anyway, I thought it was funny. You may not think it was that funny. I got a weird sense of humor. Anyway, I got another weapon. I'm just going to show you guys a weapon that's so powerful. It's more powerful than all of the American defense system. It is so powerful that it will cause America to turn on the Constitution and to grope grandmas in Depends diapers. It'll grope our little daughters. It'll sick perverts and, you know, that work for the TSA on our children. This weapon is so powerful that it just will make America fall, because it's so powerful. It's more powerful than anything we have in our United States military. You guys ready to see it? I'm gonna show it to you. You guys ready to see it? Okay, hold on. Here you go, right here. You guys see that? There you go. Let me arm it. There you go. All right. That is the powerful weapon 19 hijackers brought down America September 11th, 2001 with a box cutter. Can you believe it? Can you believe that? Really? I don't believe it. Okay, I'm one of those crazy guys that thinks 9/11 is an inside job. And I think our number one suspect is elements of our government. Now, I know people that have relatives that work for the CIA, and when I mention that 9/11 is an inside job, they go ballistic on me. They think I'm crazy. They think there's no way that our government could have any sort, you know, dealings with that. And I'm saying they're the number one suspect. And, you know, the first person I would investigate is Larry Silverstein. That's exactly who I would. That's the number one guy. There's a video you should watch from a YouTuber by the name of Nuff Respect, N-U-F-F-F Respect. And it's called Larry Silverstein, Luckiest Man Alive. So watch that video. You can YouTube it. You can put it in the search field. Larry Silverstein, Luckiest Man Alive. But, you know, there ain't no way. There ain't no way that, you know, those three buildings, most people don't even know about Building 7, fell at near free fall speed, especially World Trade Center 7. And if you look in the debris as the north and the south tower are coming down, there's like explosions in the rubble. And why did all the concrete get pulverized? The molten metal, the free fall speed, the hole in the Pentagon, and there wasn't even any damage whatsoever. I was talking to a guy, and he said, well, obviously the plane skidded into the Pentagon. I'm like, what? The plane didn't skid into the Pentagon. There's no skid marks on the grass before the Pentagon. It hit dead center. It was, you know, there's no way you can fly a plane that level above the ground and hit the Pentagon like was hit. Pilots for 9/11 Truth will tell you that. And then the whole Shanksville, Pennsylvania, poof, poof, poof. An airplane just goes poof. Where's the airplane? It's gone. There's no parts anywhere. Oh, okay. Yeah, and some people believe that. Can you believe it? All right. 9/11 was an inside job. And to believe that 19 hijackers with box cutters did that and caused our country to implement the Patriot Act and to implement these wars. You know, we've killed over, we don't even count them, right? But, you know, let's say 100,000 to 1 million Iraqis. You know, It just, something's wrong, right? Okay, I've said enough of that. I could go on and on, but let's move on. How much time I got? Okay. The Bible talks about men of understanding in 1 Chronicles 12:32. The Bible talks about men of understanding, and I want to read to you guys Proverbs 4. But before I do that, I want to read you guys some stuff from the Quran, believe it or not. The Quran talks about how Muhammad felt about clouds. Okay? I want to read you guys what the Bible says about clouds. Okay? Exodus, clouds, right? The things in the sky, not the chemtrail crap they're spraying that turn into clouds. I'm just talking about regular puffy clouds. You know, it used to be when you looked up at the sky, you saw puffy clouds. It was a beautiful day. And people used to love puffy clouds. We don't have puffy clouds anymore because, you know, the New World Order is spraying us like bugs. But that's another subject. I'm just talking about regular puffy clouds here. Exodus 19:9. And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come to thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. Okay? So, and the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I come to thee in a thick cloud. Okay, so there's one example where the Lord comes to Moses in a cloud. If I go to Exodus 24:15 and 16, it says, And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days, and the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. So the Lord has shown himself through his holy word to use clouds. Okay, if I jump to Numbers, I skipped one somewhere, but anyway, Numbers 11:25. And the Lord came down in a cloud, and spake unto him, and took of the Spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass that when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied and did not sleep. Okay, and there was another instance of a cloud, but for some reason I can't find it. But you get the picture, right? The Lord uses clouds, and he has in the past, and he's revealed himself in the Old Testament as a cloud. I don't see any reason why he can't do that again. Let's see how Muhammad felt about clouds. I'm going to read from Sahih al-Bukhari, book number 4, volume number 4. Sahih al-Bukhari, volume number 4. And this is chapter 59. It's called the Book of the Beginning of Creation, and it's, I guess they call it verses, verse 32:06. Narrated Aisha said, whenever the prophet saw a cloud in the sky, he would walk to and fro in agitation, go out and come in, and the color of his face would change. And it says footnote number 1. The prophet used to be afraid that torture might be inflicted on the people from the sky. And if it rained, he would feel relaxed. So Aisha knew that state of his. The prophet said, I am afraid it may be similar to what happened to some people referred to in the noble Quran, the Satanic Quran, in the following verse. Then when they saw it as a dense cloud coming through towards their valleys. So, Muhammad was afraid of clouds. And yet we got the Bible saying that the Lord came to Moses and others in a cloud. So it doesn't surprise me, right? Everything kind of makes sense. I want to read you guys Proverbs 4, if I can. I think it's a very powerful Proverbs. But before I read that, I'm going to talk about Ron Paul some more. And I know you guys love Ron Paul. Oh, man. Every time I talk about Ron Paul, I get all these, you know, comments about how great he is. Okay, if he's so great, then why don't he talk about 9/11? If he's so great, then why won't he investigate the birth certificate issue? Look, I know that he's the best out there, but that doesn't mean that we have to take table scraps, right? If he's too much of a coward or doesn't have the sense to figure out the birth certificate issue, I'm talking about Ron Paul here, what makes you think that he deserves our vote, right? everyone knows that anybody with any common sense and half a brain knows that Obama is constitutionally ineligible to be president. Terry Lakin went to Fort Leavenworth prison for 6 months. Fitzpatrick went to prison. There's others that have challenged it, and the courts keep dismissing the cases not on merit but upon standing. And yet the person who puts himself up as the leader of the Constitution, Ron Paul, for all of the people in America, says that it's an irrelevant issue and he doesn't want to ask any questions about it. Now, one guy left me a comment that says it's an issue of timing and that Ron Paul will bring it up later. Well, no, the time to bring it up is now. The time to bring it up was several months ago, right? But he's not doing it. And you got to ask yourself, why isn't Ron Paul bringing up the question? Does he not have enough sense? Why doesn't he distinguish himself? I've already made a video that stated that most people are not ready for Ron Paul, and so the only way that he can win, there's a little bit of me that, I used to be Ron Paul's biggest fan. I've read all of his books. There's a little bit of me that it would be great, right? He would return us to times past. He's going to attack the Federal Reserve. But you can't go after Satan and tell a little bit of lie in other places. You have to tell the truth all the time. You have to tell the truth on the birth certificate. You have to tell the truth on 9/11. You have to tell the truth on the Federal Reserve. And I applaud what Ron Paul is trying to do with the Federal Reserve. And I do believe the Federal Reserve is the single most evil institution in the whole world, and that the Federal Reserve is actually more important than the birth certificate. I do agree with that. But you're never going to win on the Federal Reserve if you don't bring up the birth certificate. You can't win on one front and let all the other, what about all of us out here? And I'm not talking about me, but there are some people that have lost their jobs. Families have broken up. People that question the birth certificate or question 9/11 are the lepers of society. They've been called the biggest terrorist group in America, I think, by Glenn Beck and others. We're supposed to carry all this water and carry all this ridicule and carry all this burden, and Ron Paul's going to, get to go scot-free, and he's going to, you guys that say, well, he really knows, he just can't bring it up because it's not politically correct. Well, I would say he needs to bring it up because you ain't going to win the election if you don't distinguish yourself by saying the truth, And if he doesn't say the truth, he will lose, right? And not only that, but he ain't going to get my vote unless he brings up the birth certificate. But put my vote aside. Regardless of what I vote or who I vote for, Ron Paul ain't going to win. I made a video specific on Ron Paul will not win if he doesn't bring up the birth certificate issue or if he doesn't talk about 9/11. If he doesn't do one of those things, I would prefer that he bring up the birth certificate issue because that's an issue that could be very easily proven one way or the other. Now, the 9/11 thing, we need an investigation. And I think he should open that up and just say we need an investigation. Most people, right, don't think for themselves, right? You and I, if you're watching this video, you probably do think for yourself. But most people don't. Most people can't formulate an original thought. And so they find somebody that they can associate with and they get behind their leader. And so what has Ron Paul done? He is a leader, right? He's a leader of a lot of young people. He's a leader of a lot of freedom-loving people that love his ideas of small government and the attacking, ending the Federal Reserve and Constitution, right? He's a leader of those people. And what example has Ron Paul set for everyone? What example did he set? He said that the birth certificate issue is irrelevant. And that, he is a defender of the Constitution except Article 2, Section 1, and he's not going to ask any questions about Obama's eligibility. Well, is he afraid to be called a racist? So all the rest of us, Terry Lakin gets to be called racist. I get to be called racist. Pastor Manning gets to be called racist. But Ron Paul, he can't make that statement because, he's got a chance at winning the president. He will never win. He will never win. If you get a chance to read Proverbs 4, it talks about wisdom. Let me read you. I wanted to read you the whole chapter, but I don't have enough time. Let me just read you chapter 4. Verse 7, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy get understanding, and with all thy getting, get understanding. God bless every one of you. Take care.